Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Page 10. My name is Abbas and I'm your host. We're recording on the 15th of May 2023. With me is my regular panelist Meghnad joining us from Delhi. Hello, Meghnad.
Hello, Abbas. What a happy time to be alive.
We will get there. And as promised, she committed to us that she will be here to break down the election results when she was here the last time. We have with us Anusha, the digital editor for the southfirst.com. Hi, Anusha.
Hi, Abbas. Glad to be back.
So you're joining us from Bangalore. We're recording on a Monday. The Karnataka election results came out on Saturday. It must have been a very eventful weekend for you. So we will get to that. We'll get to the Karnataka elections and what you make of it and how almost very accurately you predicted what might happen. But before that, if you're watching us for the first time, this is Page 10, the current affairs show of the All About Now podcast feed and YouTube channel from IVM Podcasts. Please subscribe to our channel and our podcast feed. You will find two other shows on this very channel, which are ELI 10, which is Explain Like I'm 10, hosted by Meghnad, and How to Citizen, hosted by Meghnad and Shreyas Manohar. Meghnad, anything you want to plug just before we get into the meat of today's show? Because it's going to be a very, very intense show.
Yeah. So on All About Now, we do ELI 10, where we are having episodes coming soon on what we call the ideology series.
Mhm.
We did me and Abbas and Nikhil recorded one just recently, and much existentialism happened. So look forward
Yeah.
to that. And
Uh,
we also have released the seventh chapter on How to Citizen, which was about markets around us with
mhm.
data journalist Rukmini S. So you should check that out as well.
All right, cool. So yeah, let's get down to it. Let's go to first to Anusha Ravi Sood. Anusha, the election results came out. The Congress won a clear majority. But the last time you were here, you had mentioned that the prime minister hadn't even started his campaign rallies back then. Since then, a lot happened. He came swooping in. He did a lot of rallies. Give us a basic breakdown of what you make of the election results, how the weekend was for you, how was it covering the election? I know there's a lot of questions, but if you could just give us a gist of all of that, and we'll take it from
Oh, wait, this was the weekend? Where did the weekend go?
there.
That that was how my weekend went because elections, like I said last time, they're very exciting times. It's good, and this particular election in Karnataka was very fun to follow because there were a lot of big changes that came in from each of the parties that primary three parties, whether it was the BJP with its we will change the way politics works in Karnataka, bringing in 70 plus new faces as candidates, sidelining some of these very regional strong leaders from the region. They basically wanted to try, something out of the blue in Karnataka. It didn't work for them pretty clearly given the mandate. The Congress also did a lot of new things. They were more aggressive. They were more. They refused to go on the defensive, which they're very easily done in the past.
Mhm.
So their entire approach to the election in Karnataka this time was very very different from what you've seen as far as the Congress goes in the rest of the country. Primarily, you should give credit to the strong leadership they have here in the state. The JDS, although the third party, although the results would tell you that they're pretty much decimated, but they still managed to hold uh, relevance in terms of the number of seats, just about 19 seats, which is a huge climb down from their
Right.
previous performances, even at the lowest in 2008, when there was a
Yeah.
huge sympathy wave for BJP leader B.S. Yediyurappa. The JDS did not perform this poorly.
Mhm.
Nonetheless, they tried a lot of new things in the run up to the election. So, overall, for the parties, absolutely new. As far as voters are concerned, it almost looks like people of Karnataka were sick and tired of hung verdicts and broken mandates over the last 20 years.
Mhm.
And this is a decisive mandate, and the Congress has been the beneficiary of that mandate.
Hmm.
It's I think this is more a mandate for a stable government. They not no confusions, no
Hmm.
Yeah,
broken
exactly.
mandate, no bringing coalitions together and then losing MLAs to some
Yeah.
other party. So I think the Congress has been the beneficiary of
Mhm.
Karnataka voters being really tired of
Right.
coalition governments.
Right. So
Numbers, I'm sure everybody has known. The Congress is 135,
yes.
the BJP 66, which is devastating for the party, honestly. and the JDS 19. There are four independents, out of which one is Gali Janardhan Reddy, a former BJP minister who is, let us say, who's the father of Operation Lotus, because that
Okay.
man started it all in
Yeah.
Karnataka,
Right.
and now he's formed his own party, so he's won. Uh,
Yeah.
so quite interesting results here in Karnataka, honestly.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay, so if you before we get to the takeaways from the election, there was some controversy around the election results in Bangalore in the Jayanagar area. Can you just explain that to us?
So Jayanagar, first of all, Jayanagar was being represented earlier by Soumya Reddy, who's a first-time MLA, a Congress leader. Her father Ramlinga Reddy has been minister in Karnataka. So
Hmm.
she was seeking a re-election from Jayanagar. She won. Supporters said that she had won with a thin margin. Let's remember, no winning certificate was issued to Soumya
Hmm.
Okay.
Reddy.
Hmm.
No declaration by the ECI was made that she had already won.
Hmm.
The counting agents, the booth agents there of the Congress calculated that she had won with a thin margin, for
13
165 plus votes.
votes.
No,
Some.
that was later. That was ultimately 16
Oh,
votes.
okay.
Victory to the BJP came in later. But
Okay.
initially, when of course, ECI takes time to
Yeah. Yeah.
give
Right.
issue certificates and all of that. You have to rely on the booth agents who are giving you minute by minute updates on how the counting process goes. So when the first round of counting concluded, Soumya Reddy was leading by more than 130 votes, 160, 130 votes. I don't remember the number clearly. But
Hmm.
the BJP demanded recounting. And
Hmm.
after the first round of recounting, Samya, it seems, was still leading. After the second round of recounting is when the BJP candidate there, Mr. Ramurthy, was shown to have more votes than the
Right.
Congress candidate, Soumya Reddy. But in this entire process, by the time the election commission finally declared the result, the election commission declared that the BJP candidate had won by about 16 votes. The
Hmm.
Hmm.
controversy in this entire issue is the Congress raising questions about unsealed ballots, especially postal ballots, being considered for second round of counting onwards when the election turned in favor of
Hmm.
the BJP candidate. The second question that the Congress raises is, why was Tejasvi Surya, the MP from South Bangalore,
Yeah.
allowed inside the counting center? See,
Hmm.
a lot of BJP supporters have raised questions about how Ramlinga Reddy was allowed. Ramlinga
Hmm.
Reddy is a
Hmm.
candidate from BTM, and his EVMs were being counted at the counting center. He
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
allowed to be there
Hmm.
at the
Hmm.
counting center. R. Ashok, who's also the BJP leader, he's also allowed to be there because he was contesting from Padmanabh Nagar, and as a candidate whose votes are being counted, he's allowed. But the question is, how was Tejasvi Surya allowed inside?
Right.
And for what reason? So there is an entire as we speak, the Congress has approached Election Commission with a complaint over
Hmm.
whatever has transpired in Jayanagar. So as of now, the Election Commission of India holds that the BJP has won that seat
Okay.
by is there a margin that is thinner than wafer? I would really like to know.
Let's keep that as thin as it gets. Yeah.
So that's where it stands,
All
Jayanagar.
right. Okay. Meghnad, your opinions, your thoughts on the election results?
So, surprise was what
Hmm.
I had in my mind.
Hmm.
Um, so I was looking at exit polls, of course, when these came out, and only one turned out to be accurate, and that was by our friend Pradeep from
Yes.
Access My India. I call
Yeah.
him a friend because he was on ELI 10
Yes.
as a guest, and he explained how difficult his job is and
Yeah.
how he dances with Rajdeep all the time and why that
Hmm.
happens.
Hmm.
And again, he was right.
Hmm.
Their number was, of course, in the 130 140 mark for Congress,
Right.
and turns
Hmm.
out that is where they are.
Hmm.
Everyone else was like, ye kuch bhi
Hmm.
matlab itna thodi hoga. But as Anusha said, like, it's clearly a landslide mandate by the people. Because,
Right.
as I mean, again, I don't know, Anusha, if this makes sense to me, but um I don't think people vote based on the fact that, oh, we have to give like a decisive mandate per se. Maybe the way I looked at it, at least, was a combination of a few things. One was, I was looking at this tweet that Jairam Ramesh put out, right? Till this point, Bharat Jodo Yatra's results were still questioned about whether it was effective, क्या ही किया इसने इतना चल के 4,000 किलोमीटर, what impact did it have? So Jairam Ramesh, the image that he put out showed that the yatra passed through 20 constituencies in Karnataka, and it was a long time that they spent in
Yeah,
Karnataka
yeah, yeah,
during the
yeah.
yatra. I think Anusha was there for that
Anusha was there
episode
for that.
also.
Yes, that
Yeah.
was the first thing she covered. Yeah.
Yeah. So in the 20 seats in 2018, Congress had won only 5 seats out of those.
Mm-hmm.
In 2023, after the Yatra, they have won 15 seats.
Mm-hmm.
So there was definitely like a surge that you see in the constituencies that Rahul Gandhi passed through, right? We can
Mm-hmm.
conclude that very easily. The
Right.
second thing which I feel happened because of this Yatra directly
Mm-hmm.
was his interactions with people helped. The reason why I think Congress was much more confident this time going into the elections, because they had actual, input from the ground. During the yatra, Rahul Gandhi was constantly talking to people, his cadre, what are the issues, where should they focus, etc. This whole Bajrang Dal thing is actually a good marker for that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Delhi media believes that Bajrang Dal to be banned in the manifesto will backfire on the Congress, which means that Modi ji ko to ab mil hi gaya, ab Bajrang Bali aayenge, then we will turn religious, and what a self goal by Congress, all the things, narratives you heard, right? But I was like, no, there has to be some logic behind it, because
Right.
this kind of declaration will not be put into a manifesto until there is some solid ground feedback, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I now genuinely believe that people in Karnataka largely are tired of the Bajrang Dal. I mean, and that worked out, right? PFIB, like both Bajrang Dal and basically religious extremism in general, right?
Right.
Bullying.
Mm.
I can say that now because the results are in front of you. So I feel like Rahul Gandhi and his team, the Bharat Jodo Yatra, they got a lot of ground inputs and they turned it into their manifesto, which came out much earlier than BJP. So they had a
Mm-hmm.
lot of time to also campaign based on the manifesto.
Mm-hmm.
They had 5 main schemes that they were promoting, and one of them is universal basic income for women, which
Mm.
is again something that I was like, will this work? It's a little out there, but clearly, the schemes and the promises also seem to have resonated. So that's why I think they were way more confident this time, because
Okay.
even after the Bajrang Dal backlash, I thought that they will backtrack, but they didn't. They were
Okay.
like, nah, we are going forward.
All right. Okay, so because we have the pleasure of recording this 2 days after the election results, we have some sense of to make of the election results, and I have watched a lot of these takeaways from the Karnataka elections, and I
Yes.
have a couple of them jotted down, and I would like to know both Anusha and Meghnad's views on them. So, takeaway number one that was common in most of those pieces was the Congress is back, baby. This is the resurgence. This is the resurgence that they were waiting for, and it's revived now and it's back on track. So, Anusha, what do you have to say about that?
I think it's best not to jump the gun. Revel in the victory you've gotten right now. It's
Right.
good to celebrate, but
Yeah.
don't get ahead of yourselves, because a lot of things worked for the Congress in Karnataka,
Mm,
and the situation is not going to be the same elsewhere. The situation is
mm,
not even going to be the same in 2024. Mr.
Hmm.
Modi was not able to elicit votes for the BJP as effectively in this election, but he will be able to do so in 24, because then the vote would actually be for Mr. Modi directly.
correct.
That
Yes.
didn't The Modi magic factor didn't work in Karnataka this election. Doesn't mean it will
Mm,
not work in the next few elections. Just before I proceed with that, a couple of things I want to add to what Meghnad was speaking about.
yes.
The impact of Bharat Jodo Yatra, as he spoke. There's one more factor that took place during the Bharat Jodo Yatra, other than bringing the Congress workers together and all of that. Bharat Jodo Yatra became a venue for civil society activism to join political activism,
Hmm.
show
Hmm.
support to the Congress. In fact, Yettedu Karnataka is one civic group that Mr. Yogendra Yadav has been sitting here in Karnataka, has been working with that group, and that group
Mm,
has played a huge role in bringing together civil society movements, activists, intellectuals from different places to come campaign for the Congress. That is something that worked for the Congress. This Bharat Jodo Yatra, in fact, helped bring together civil society movement that has helped the Congress. The second thing, the opinion polls that you were talking about, there was another portal in Karnataka that actually got it bang on 140, 132 to 140 was their number. That is Edina portal.
Hmm.
right.
other than India
Axis My
Today's
India. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
pollsters, yeah, they actually got the numbers bang on, as well. As
Correct.
far
I
as the
think
win,
Yogendra
as
Yadav mentioned them also, I think, on some
precisely.
news channel. Yeah,
He
yeah,
did on multiple times, in fact, because it's such a small portal and so few people know about
yeah.
it.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's There is always an advantage of being Hindi/English speaker
Correct.
based in
Hmm.
Yes.
Delhi. Others get a little sidelined, or those poor
Yeah. Yeah.
Kannadigas get sidelined. But
Yes.
anyway, I'm taking this opportunity to pluck Kannadigas because
Yeah.
As you
it's
should.
Karnataka
Yes.
elections.
Totally.
As you should. Yeah.
And as far as the manifesto is concerned, actually, the Congress's manifesto came much later, but they were very good with announcing their guarantees. And the universal
Hmm.
basic income for women is one portion of what the Nyay scheme
Hmm.
of Rahul Gandhi meant. This is
Hmm.
just one step towards the same. So I think all of this worked together. But to say that Congress has arrived and this is resurrection and all of that, I think it's taking it a
Yeah.
little too far. A lot of factors worked for the Congress here, but
Yeah.
let's
And
I
see
have a.
how little
Yeah,
factors
go ahead,
are.
Meghnad.
So in on multiple channels this happened, right, which you just said, oh, Congress is back, sort of thing. um Rahul Kanwal was interviewing P Chidambaram, and wahan pe he basically said, oh, Mr. Chidambaram, now you have a reason to smile, you look happy because Congress is back. Oh, look, he had no reason to smile earlier, now he's smiling. And he did that to everyone from Congress, whoever came. It's like you have a reason to smile. Now Congress is back. You, for years you were sad. Now you are happy. It's just a little, as Anusha said, it's like jumping the gun a little bit. So I keep saying this. It's about being at the right place at the right time all the time in politics. And I think Congress this time was at the right place at the right time. Whether they engineered these factors, whether they actually make sure that the factors were already there and they captured them, I think it's the latter, which is the factors were already there. The
Right.
Congress managed to have a strategy that beat BJP strategy, which was very confusing to a large extent. Like they've doubled down on the whole Hindutva factor, the hijab row, and even like cursing Kerala, poor Kerala man. Like Amit Shah going and saying that, oh, तुम्हारे बाजू में केरला है, सोच लेना क्या
Hmm.
होगा.
Hmm.
What is that? Like random, as if Kerala people don't come to Karnataka and Karnataka people don't go to Kerala. It's
Hmm.
just random, right? And then the Kerala story thing also, like the CM going, the head of the party going and watching the video.
I
I don't
think
think these things work.
the moment of desperation for the BJP came when the prime minister mentioned the Kerala story in a
Yes.
rally. Because for
Mm.
me, it was like this is the job of one of his lackeys. He shouldn't
Yeah.
be doing this
Yeah.
promotion slash propaganda for a film that pushes an agenda. So at
Yeah.
that point, I was like, okay, if this is coming from the biggest office in the country, that reeks of little bit of a desperation of desperation.
Hmm.
But you were
I would say
letting
so.
go of, oh, 91 abuses were hurled at me. Jai Bajrangbali bol ke vote dal do. I mean,
Sure.
see, he had to invoke the Kerala story because nothing else stuck. Okay, he
Yeah.
came to Karnataka and said somebody has made a list that the Congress has abused me 91 times. All it took for the Congress, especially Miss Priyanka Gandhi, to come out and say, "Acha, iska list bana rahe ho aap? Issues ke nahi bana rahe ho."
which,
Yes.
which was one of my other takeaways. Modi magic is over. This was we've reached the limit of Modi magic in state elections.
I don't think so. I honestly don't think so.
The
I mean, as
theory of
Anusha also
marginal
pointed out.
utility, like theory
Yeah.
of marginal utility would tell you that at some point in time, utility of all things will start
Hmm.
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 subsiding.
Hmm.
But to say that Modi magic that the BJP likes to appeal to is
Hmm.
doesn't hold any value anymore, I do not think so. If anything, there is one. This is something that I said in the previous show as well. So, what is the point
Hmm.
of in another show as well? What is the point of Mr. Narendra Modi holding road shows in Bangalore for 2 continuous days? It
Yeah.
was
Right.
not to bring in more voters to the BJP, which is very clear. The BJP's vote share has not increased, despite
Hmm.
all of it. It has not increased. What he managed to do was convince BJP's own core voters, just come out and vote.
Right.
I know
Yeah.
you
Right.
don't like
Hmm.
the state government or the state leaders, but look at
Yeah.
me and please vote. That he was able to do. So Modi magic still works within the
Hmm.
core BJP voter. It still works. Maybe
Hmm.
it will work even better for Lok Sabha 2024 when he's seeking mandate for himself and not for a
Hmm.
state government. For a state
Hmm.
government, one of the things that did not work for the BJP in Karnataka is the fact that the voters were able to differentiate between an assembly election and a Lok Sabha election. A lot of voters who voted in favor of the Congress may not vote for the Congress in
Hmm.
2024. So I
Correct.
think again it is it's a little naive to think that Mr. Modi's appeal has no value anymore.
Okay.
You know, the
Uh,
Modi magic thing, we can just break it down into two things. One is
mm,
trust for Modi, which is like,
mm,
do people still trust Modi, right?
mm,
As Anusha pointed out very correctly, in 2024, when the mandate is directly coming to him, which he
mm,
will do,
mm,
people might end up trusting him more for the central level. At state
mm,
level, maybe not so much, right? Again, at the
mm,
state level, they must be like, we don't trust the local leadership. That's why we
mm,
are voting for someone else, right? So that
mm,
factor
mm,
plays there. The
mm.
second is money. It's always about money. The magic which people say is about
Right.
money. BJP at the end of the day is the richest party in India.
Mm-hmm,
They get tons of electoral bonds.
mm-hmm,
So as a party, they are able to campaign way more effectively than anybody else. They're able to
mm,
do way more database surveys than anybody else because they have
mm,
money.
mm,
And that matters. So Modi magic is a combination
mm,
of these two things. So in
mm-hmm,
2024,
mm-hmm,
that will play out, because it's not like in these 5 years since 2019 they haven't collected money. They
mm,
have. Every year,
mm.
every time electoral bonds come out, they get more and more electoral bonds, and they keep shoving in that money into their system.
Right.
And there is the Madhya Pradesh election coming, there's the Chhattisgarh election coming, there is the Rajasthan elections coming. Three big states before
These are all
2020,
before. These are all before 2024. Okay.
before
Yeah.
2024.
Yeah. Yeah.
So BJP will have to spend money on that and then fight the general elections. Think about it. Congress will also have to do that. Who
Correct.
has more money? So
Mm,
BJP will be way more effective in putting up campaigns in all of these states plus the general elections
mm.
than I feel the Congress would be able to. That
Okay.
is just my general assumption based on
Okay.
whatever resources they have.
Okay. Okay. I have a follow-up question on a manifesto. So I know we are saying that okay, polarization did not work and people did not primarily overwhelmingly vote for Hindutva, but the Congress can put in the manifesto that they want to ban Bajrang Dal and PFI, but still they will not put that we will revoke the hijab ban. There
Hmm.
was that whole controversy about Muslim shopkeepers not being able to do business outside of temples, right? Uh, so we're still at a place where the Congress knows if they put things like that, it'll work against them. So I think in that case, the BJP, even after losing the election, they still win the narrative, right? Because now if the Congress comes back in power and revokes the hijab ban, they will be blamed for appeasement of the
Hmm.
Muslim community. So what do you guys have to say about that? Anusha, you first.
Well, when you speak about Bajrang Dal, like Meghnad was speaking about it, nobody gave Congress enough credit for having thought about the entire
Hmm,
process, what they would gain out of it. There is no
hmm,
doubt. Multiple times, leaders of the Congress, when they've even in interviews or in articles, have spoken about how they intend to roll back decisions made by the BJP government with no specific indications of hijab ban.
right.
But there is one aspect in the manifesto, the Congress manifesto, if you see,
Hmm,
we resolve to roll back on all anti-people decisions made by the BJP government. It is there in the
Hmm.
Congress
okay.
manifesto, but with no specification. So you're right
Right.
in asking why would the Congress, if you have the spine to say you will ban Bajrang Dal, why won't you
Hmm,
come out and say that you will revoke a hijab ban?
hmm,
But
hmm,
you'll also have to take a look at the Supreme Court's order very closely. The Supreme Court
Hmm.
still vests the decision in the school block, the school
right.
development block. So each school development block has the authority to decide on a uniform, just
Right.
decide on whether allowing the hijab or not. So there are nuances of it. So I suppose that is what the Congress will also hope
Hmm.
to point to
Okay.
when it finally decides who will be the chief minister and how it is
Hmm.
going to go
Oh, I'm
forward.
coming to that. Yeah.
No, I
Go
think.
forward. But
Yeah.
as far as the question of minority support or consolidation
Hmm,
uh,
hmm,
is asked of the Congress, this election has proven that minorities have backed the
hmm.
Congress through and through, and that's one of the reasons why I said this mandate is for a stable government. They do not
Hmm.
Right.
want a broken mandate because it's not a bipolar contest in Karnataka. There are three
Hmm,
parties. And the fact
hmm,
that the vote share the Congress has commanded also comes
hmm.
from the JDS means a non BJP voter has also voted for the Congress,
Correct. Yeah.
which
Right.
means the intent was very conscious. The
Hmm,
intent was for a pro Congress vote, it was not just
hmm,
an anti incumbency.
hmm,
Vote.
Sure.
So,
hmm.
given the kind of minority consolidation that has taken place, I suppose minorities trust the Congress to take the right decision.
Hmm.
Right.
But will the
Hmm.
Congress be able to deliver it? And
Hmm.
despite all of these facing allegations of
Hmm.
appeasement, uh,
Is
that's
it
the
is
only
it
thing
true
I can
that
tell.
the BJP sidelined B.S. Yediyurappa because he wasn't a hardened enough Hindutva leader for them?
I do not think so, because otherwise, why would he be chief minister for as many times as he
Hmm.
was? No, the
Right.
BJP is very has always been very practical. This time
But the
around, I think they
BJP of
miscalculated.
BJP of 2008 is different from the BJP of 2023, right?
Correct, but yet the
Hmm.
BJP of 2019 still allowed B.S. Yediyurappa to become the chief minister.
Right. Right.
So
Hmm.
so it is opportunistic, just like any other political party.
Hmm.
But there was a very conscious attempt to change the way the party is perceived in this election. That is why
Hmm.
they asked B.S. Yediyurappa to quit as chief minister. They wanted to bring in a new system where party symbol, party ideology comes first. So there was a huge cultural and ideological push, there is no doubt. And that push has also found a pushback. So whether
Right.
they're
Hmm.
going to, alter the way they look at Karnataka henceforth
Hmm.
is something. But as far as Mr. B.S. Yediyurappa is concerned, I think it had got more to do with him being far more popular than the party
Right.
that
Yeah.
influenced the party's decision to replace him than his
Hmm.
stance on Hindutva. Let's also remember Mr. B.S. Yediyurappa also is a Khattar RSS man. He comes from the RSS. He took pride in the
Correct.
Ram
Yeah.
Temple, in the
Yeah.
Babri
Right.
Masjid demolition. So secular credentials can always be
I think he's
debated.
also on record saying that Hindus and Muslims are brothers, though, which is for some reason a controversial statement to make in
He
2023.
must say it because in his home constituency of Shikaripura, there are about 30,000 Muslim
Right.
voters.
Hmm. Hmm.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Okay.
Fair enough.
Anything you want to add, Meghnad? I have two, three more questions, and then we can conclude.
No, just about the hijab ban question that
Yeah.
you added. So,
Yeah.
the Supreme Court thing was what I was coming to. So, the Supreme Court has basically said in a very simple language that this decision should be decentralized to the last mile, which is
Hmm.
essentially if the school block feels that certain uniforms need to be imposed, they should do it, and if the community thinks that it is the wrong thing to do, they shouldn't do it, right? Which I feel
Hmm.
is the right way to go about it technically to
Right.
avoid any sort of mass polarization and on
Hmm.
a state level, for example.
Hmm.
Whereas the Bajrang Dal thing, if you look at it, it's an
Hmm.
organization that is operating across the and
Hmm.
doing something that is extremist and sometimes violent. So
Right.
in that case it's a law and order issue, right?
Hmm.
So like, I mean, वहां पे state government को कुछ ना कुछ करना ही पड़ेगा. Like,
Hmm.
so if it's like an organized effort to break the law, then
Hmm.
the state has to come down, crack down on it to stop them from doing it, right? So
Hmm.
in the
Hmm.
case of hijab ban, it was more of a socio-cultural issue,
Right.
whereas with the Bajrang Dal being extremist and violent, and PFI as well comes in that
Right. Right.
category,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it's a more of a law and order issue. So different
Okay.
treatment. So I mean, that
Okay.
might be the logic also.
Okay. I want to talk about the local leaders. Another takeaway was that Karnataka had strong Congress local leaders. A couple of months ago, when Mallikarjun Kharge won the Congress president election, I know English speaking people like us were like, oh, Tharoor should have won. He was the right
Mm.
choice and all of that. Uh, do we eat our words? I don't think Shashi Tharoor would have been
I
able
got
to.
slapped around. I got slapped around. So I'll tell you what happened. I
Okay.
had done this very terrible thing when during a live event where I took a live
Mm,
poll, ki who is in favor of Khadge, who is
mm,
in favor of
mm.
Tharoor, and Tharoor was of course Bombay, South Bombay
Yeah,
audience. I like
yeah,
Tharoor.
yeah,
Like me, I was like, ha ha ha, like look so clearly,
yeah,
and I put it out
yeah.
and got slapped around for it then also, but I was like, I bragged. But then
Mm,
now with this, I have eaten my words. I
yeah,
have personally eaten my words.
right.
I now see his value. I
Yeah,
see how he is valuable to the party, and of
yeah.
course he's more experienced, and
Mm.
of course he knows how to run the party better than I do. I obviously, so like, I mean, I've eaten humble pie,
Right.
which is good from time to time.
Anusha, last time you were here, you said Mallikarjun Kharge is a rock star in his constituency, and it's clear
Yes.
to see that he has orchestrated the victory. Let's ask the big question. We're recording this on a Monday. By the time this episode goes out, we may or may not have an announcement on who the chief minister will be. But there is a tussle going on between Siddaramaiah, who we spoke about the last time, and DK Shiv Kumar. So give us your take on that.
before I wouldn't say I slapped Meghnad around, but I was one of the people who responded to his tweet on
Yes,
that
yes,
poll.
yes. I know. I
once
remember,
I
again
said
Anusha.
that.
proving once again proving English speaking urban Indians know nothing.
So I will. I no. I did no slapping around and all of that.
Yeah.
It's always good to be
Eat
proven right
humble
later.
pie.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
for me,
No.
proven later, proven right
Yeah.
later. But right, as far as Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge is concerned, not just in his constituency, you look at the number of seats where Congress has won this election. It's the whole of
Mm,
Kalyan Karnataka, that entire
mm,
Mumbai,
Hmm.
Hyderabad Karnataka previously, that entire region. As far as the big question is concerned, there is nobody on the day of counting. I remember how by 10 o'clock, when it became clear that the Congress is headed towards a comfortable majority, immediately the discussion on television channels flipped. No longer were the
yeah.
results being discussed. The question
Mm,
was, oh, now there is going to be a tussle and there is going to be fight and
Hmm.
infighting in the Congress over who the chief minister will be. Who doesn't want to be a chief minister as a politician? I don't know.
Yeah.
Why are
right.
you in politics if you're not ambitious? I mean, and
Yeah.
if there are two leaders who have been projected as the two who've driven the
Mm,
party's successful campaign, why should they
mm,
not fight for
Hmm.
the top chair? In fact, Sidramaya has proven to be a good administrator. He, in fact, was the only chief minister in 30 years who completed a 5-year full term in office,
right.
and
Hmm.
people have
Yeah.
seen how he functions as chief minister.
Mm,
DK Shivkumar has worked extremely hard for this campaign as the
mm,
KPCC president. He
yeah.
was given in charge of Karnataka Congress when the Karnataka Congress was at its lowest. 2019,
Yeah.
the Congress won only one Lok Sabha seat from Karnataka. He was handed the reins of a defeated, broken party, and he's actually built the party and the party
Ground
structure
up.
well, ground up, and he's found people who can invest not just in terms of ideology and commitment to the party, but also in terms of resources, whether it's
Mm,
money,
Hmm.
whether it's muscle power, etc. So he has played a huge role in ensuring Congress's victory, and now both of them are asked demanding that they be considered. So like you said, discussions are underway. Other than the fact that, like convention mandates, these national parties pass a single line resolution authorizing the party president um, to
yeah.
nominate the
Yeah.
chief of the
Yeah.
legislative party. The Congress actually went through with a ballot. Its
Hmm.
MLAs on Sunday in their first legislative party meeting, unlike other parties, including the BJP, where really no voting etc. takes place. Even in 2013, the party had resorted to voting by MLAs to
Yeah.
show who they prefer as
Mm,
as far as the chief minister goes. And it is no secret that Mr. Sidramaya continues to be the more popular of the two
Hmm.
right.
within the party as
Mm,
well as among people. The
mm,
drawback, the great strength that Mr. Sidramaya has, other than the fact that he's been a chief minister, is also he comes from an OBC background, and
Hmm.
he has
right.
always been seen as this icon of Ahinda, a consolidation or an association or coming together of minorities, Dalits, other backward classes. The Ahinda is a term that was coined by Devraja as a former chief minister in Karnataka. And Sidramaya is seen as an icon of Ahinda, and Ahinda is the Congress's primary vote bank.
Mm,
Whereas Mr. DK Shiv Kumar belongs to the Vokaliga community, which is not the primary vote bank of
Hmm.
the Congress. But this election, he's been able to turn that around. A huge chunk of Vokaligas have voted for the party, so they have their merits, both of them. They
okay.
have their challenges as well.
But you're
Do
So
you
saying
have a
the MLA
preference?
vote. Sorry, but the MLA vote you said was in favor of Siddharamaiah.
is what I it's a secret ballot, so I can't claim to know, I know for sure, but the sense that I get from whatever conversations I've had with the MLAs who were present there and the leaders that were present there, because of his popularity within the party, it does convert into
Fair enough.
actual votes
Fair
in
enough.
his favor,
Hmm.
in his favor. Like I said, he's seen more as an inclusive
Hmm.
figure than in
Right.
comparison to DK
You know,
Shiv
this
Kumar. There
is
is
this is actually a very important point to make here, that this is how the chief minister is elected. To be honest, this is the procedure. This is how the
Yeah.
prime minister should be elected. This is how the chief minister should be elected, where you are doing a secret ballot of the majority party, and then you are deciding, oh, okay, now we know, so then this person, because that is the one way to ensure party stability also, by the way. Like, I
yeah.
mean, if you look
Yes.
at the Maharashtra situation, which we will talk about later. Yeah.
Do you guys not see this going the Sachin Pilot and Ashok Gehlot way, which a lot
I
of news
don't.
channels have been
To be
predicting?
honest, I don't, because for very simple reason. This is the first time the Congress in a long time, not a first time, in a long time, Congress has basically shown
Absolute majority.
unity
Yeah. Hmm.
and majority, and they got
Hmm.
rewarded for it. I
Hmm.
feel like people will stay till 2024. 2024 के बाद कुछ कुछ हो सकता है. That I feel
Okay.
like might be a possibility. But right now, I feel like it's all in their best interest to keep it together.
Correct. Okay. Okay, two last questions. We barely spoke about the sitting Chief Minister Baswaraj Bommai.
Hmm.
It's is it safe to say he was not very popular and he is pretty much on his way out? And the second thing is the JDS over, which is another common theme in all the takeaways that the so-called reign of the Devegowdas is done now.
Hmm.
So every election, this question pops up: is the JDS over? Whether it is
Hmm.
Lok Sabha election or Assembly election, the JDS has
Hmm.
proven that it is here to stay. And
Hmm.
as far as its primary vote bank in the old Mysuru region is going to be with the party to
Hmm.
quite an extent, the party is not going anywhere. They have loyal voters, loyal leaders, cadres as well. But we should also take into consideration that this is the worst performance of the JDS in an assembly election since its inception,
Right.
which puts a lot of questions, which
Hmm.
leads to a lot of questions on what about the future of younger leaders or leaders who are still waiting their turn to become the presidents or the office bearers of the JDS. So what of them? Every time there is a three-party contest in which two national parties become the primary contenders,
Hmm.
eventually the third party cedes space to one of the
Hmm.
two national parties, and this
Hmm.
has been the trend that has led to the growth of the BJP as well. BJP eventually captures that space, or that space gets divided between the two parties. This election, as far as vote shares go, that vote share has gone to the Congress. It
Right.
is you can't be too sure that the vote share will not return to the JDS or will not waver to the BJP. As of today, the JDS is at its lowest,
Hmm.
and without this could probably this is being many people insist that this is probably the last assembly election of Mr. Devegowda given his health and given his age. So without him,
Hmm.
holding on to the core vote share of Vokkaliga voters in Old
Hmm.
Mysuru region will be a challenge for the party, and that will
Right.
be the first time that the party faces such a challenge. So, yes, that question probably is valid to be raised now, not in the previous elections. Now is the right time to raise that question about the future of JDS. The first question that you asked about, what about Mr. Basavaraj Bommai? Was he
Hmm.
a popular leader? Clearly, he wasn't. And
Hmm.
one of the big mistakes that the BJP made is replacing a popular face like B.S.
Hmm.
Yediyurappa,
Hmm.
who
Hmm.
they made chief minister after bringing down a coalition government. It was not even
Right.
their government. They brought down the
Hmm.
coalition government. They made Yediyurappa their chief minister. They were not,
Hmm.
again, they pulled their own chief minister and made Bommai, who was not
Yeah.
popular, as the chief minister. And it almost looks like Bomai will probably be the leader of opposition. He's won his
Hmm.
seat and he's a senior legislator. He has great
Hmm.
hold on policy matters. He's
Hmm.
actually a good policy maker. If you
Hmm.
Hmm.
evaluate Bomai just as a policy maker, he's a good policy maker. He may
Hmm.
not have been a great chief minister. For that, there are many reasons for the same. One of the most fun reasons I heard from somebody close to Bombay. So I asked him why was he not able to perform as a chief minister, and this former minister who was close to Bombay, said no, he felt guilty that he had taken somebody else's mandate. I was like,
Aw.
Oh,
all right.
that's
He
sweet.
said,
That
he
emotion
said,
exists in
he said,
Yeah.
he
politicians.
said, no, Mr. Bombay, I will actually give him
Of course.
credit. He is somebody
Right.
like that. He is,
Hmm.
Yeah.
he's a very decent politician. The
Hmm.
situations
No.
aside,
Huh. Yeah.
personally, I don't put it above beyond
Hmm.
Mr. Bombay to think that I've not done well because this was not my mandate. It's somebody else's
Hmm.
mandate that has been given to me. So
Right.
I have no reason not to believe it.
Yeah.
Okay. Meghnad, any last thoughts that you want to add before we go into a break?
Last thoughts being the TV media was very entertaining on Saturday.
Did you
It had
catch
many.
Amit Malviya's meltdown on Rajdeep's
Oh
show?
yes, for the listeners, there was this epic moment on TV media where Rajdeep Sardesai was reading out the results, and Amit Malviya, the IT cell chief of BJP, was there, and he called him stupid. He said that his book is a piece of trash and that he should retire. He's
Retire.
58. I think apparently it was his birthday when he actually said all these things. Also, I mean, I'm not
Okay.
sure. Someone told me. I'm like, okay, that's weird, but. So Amit Walvia was being very rude for straight up 15 minutes.
Mm.
There's a 2.5 minute clip you will see on
That's the
social
one I've
media.
seen. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but there were 10 minutes before that which I saw live.
Okay.
It was horrifying, and
Mm.
at that point I was like, Rajdeep boss, cut off his mic and shut him up and take him out of the studio. Rajdeep being Rajdeep, he let it go on for a while.
Yeah.
Rahul Kanwal said nothing, and then he's like, oh, I will send you a box of Mysore Pak. Oh, please be happy. I will send you a
Which
box
he
of Mysore
posted a
Pak.
picture of on
Which he
Twitter.
posted a picture of, and then Amit Wali उस पे भी भड़क गया.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, तू तो रिटायर हो जा. मैंने तो बोला था तेरे को, कितने बार बोला तेरे को रिटायर क्यों नहीं होता. I'm like, ये क्या हो रहा है? Seriously. I mean, एक तो राजदीप सरदेसाई, after a point, ठीक है, humble, all the things. After a point, you have to be like, shut the fuck up. You're like, मत बोल तू, जा यहाँ से, तेरी पार्टी हार गई है. You have no right to be arrogant to be anymore. That happened. And the second is another glorious moment where Arnab Goswami, while reading out the results, was like,
Results. Mm.
I think we should be humble enough to admit. And I was like, oh my God. And he's like, humble enough to admit that the Congress has not won a decisive victory here, okay? They haven't. The BJP fought very. I'm like, boss, तू इतना close आ गया था, इतना close बोलने के लिए कि हाँ BJP has not. No, Congress has not won a decisive hit. Hilarious, all through, very entertaining. But just as a last thing, next time elections happen, please watch the results on the Election Commission website.
Right.
Keep refreshing. That is the only drama you need in your life.
Mm.
I am taking offense to Meghnad not citing Rubika's
Yeah.
show where
Oh.
Bajrang Bali's voice was there in the air, and they declared BJP had crossed 112 seats
12,
or something
yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
112
Yeah,
or
yeah.
111 seats.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
taking offense that you're not
Yeah,
mentioning.
and this sound, oh my God, the screeching has just become insane. Like, I mean, earlier I thought screeching was high levels. This time it's like teleshopping network. देखिए कैसे हो रहा है, ये देखिए, ये देखिए, ये देखिए, ये product देखिए, ये देखिए, ये देखिए. It's exactly that, constant
Yeah.
for hours. I don't get it. And the whole thing which you said about Jai Bajrang Bali, every time a seat count went up for BJP, there was this turn, Bajrang Bali ki jai, Modi's voice. I was like, what is happening? And the bizarre thing about AVP News, I do not know why they do this. Drama, obviously. Okay, I know why they do this. So they do it for TRP, but their numbers were wildly different than everybody else or the
everybody
Election
else.
Commission.
Yeah, yeah,
Right? Wildly. And then over a period of, I think, 15 minutes, their numbers suddenly dropped for BJP. So they also were like just कुछ भी डाल रहे हैं basically. Very amusing to watch though.
Yeah. Okay, I think we've covered most of the big topics for the Karnataka elections. Thank you so much, Anusha, for shedding light on that. We'll take a quick break right now. When we come back, we'll hear what Meghnad has for us this week. We'll see you on the other side of this break. Hello, it's been another great week on the IVM Podcasts Network. On the Wire Talks, Siddharth Bhatia talks to filmmaker Onir about the ongoing marriage equality case in the Supreme Court and what its repercussions could be. On All Things Policy, Saurabh Todi and Manoj Keval Ramani discussed the recent visit of the Chinese Foreign Minister to India for the SCO Summit and his bilateral meetings with other foreign ministers. And on the Habit Coach podcast, Ashton shares tips to stop the negative mind chatter and how to fill yourself with positivity. Once again, don't forget to visit our merch store on ivmpodcasts.com. We have some exciting stuff for you over there. Follow us on social media. We are IVM Podcasts on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. If you like our shows, spread the word. Tell your friends and don't forget to rate and review them wherever you're listening to them. You'll also find all our shows on youtube.com/IVM Podcasts. And finally, we would like to thank our sponsors this week, Cash Free Payments and HDFC Mutual Fund. Thank you for making this possible. And we're back on page 10 with Meghnad and Anusha. Meghnad, what do you have for us this week? The Supreme Court gave some big judgments. Please tell us
Yes.
what you have.
So I'm going to quickly go through both the judgments. I don't want to spend too much time on it. So first one came in relation to the Maharashtra government.
Mm,
If you know, just as a recap, in July 2022, there was a major upheaval in Maharashtra where there were a chunk of Shiv Sena MLAs which just
mm,
separated, went to Assam, and
mm,
then formed their own Shiv Sena. Apparently,
mm, mm,
they wrote a letter to the governor asking for a floor test, at
mm,
which point the governor replaced the chief whip of the party and then allowed a floor test. The Supreme Court also said that you can go ahead with the floor test. After which Uddhav Thackeray, who was the CM, he resigned before the
mm,
floor test even happened. So then, as a result, the chief ministership was taken up by the Shiv Sena rebel, and
yeah. In a
deputy
twist, because
in a twist of
yeah,
fate,
yeah,
Shindeji took up the chief
yeah.
ministership, and deputy chief minister was Devendra Fadnavis.
Jimmy
So now
Fadnavis, yeah.
this challenge was ongoing. The judgment came last week.
Yeah.
The judgment was a little strange, I found,
Mhm.
but ठीक है सुप्रीम कोर्ट है कुछ बोल नहीं सकते ऑनरेबल है so the case was being heard for a year. uh, the judgment says now that what the governor did was unconstitutional.
Mm,
The replacement of the whip was unconstitutional. This whole
mhm,
thing was unconstitutional.
mm,
But Uddhav Thackeray shouldn't have resigned. So
mm,
Uddhav Thackeray resigned. So then the Supreme Court said, since he resigned voluntarily, we can't do anything about it. If he hadn't resigned voluntarily, we would have replaced him again, put him
mm,
back in the
mm,
CM's chair.
mm, mm.
Uh,
I have a question. Had that happened, what would have happened to all the MLAs who jumped ship?
my question exactly, right? So
Mm,
I mean,
mm.
इतना हो गया, like I mean the judgment में इतना बोल दिया कि so illegal but can't do anything about it.
Right.
uh, so Shindeji and Devendra Fadnavis have this iconic image now of them laughing like crazy schoolboys who have been caught cheating, but उनको फिर भी full marks मिल गए and topper बन गए, and the teacher is like, आप क्या कर सकते हैं?
Right.
That sort of image. So they were there and they said, oh, this is the victory of democracy.
Mm,
People's mandate. The one reasoning that they also gave was, but first they stole the mandate by aligning with the Congress, sorry,
and the
NCP
NCP. Yeah,
Congress.
yeah, yeah.
So then we have rightfully taken it back. So this is now a victory of
Mm,
the people, right?
mm, mm.
The confusion that remains, as Abbas, you rightly pointed out, I haven't been able to find the answer because nobody seems to be asking this also. Which is the Shiv Sena now?
Right.
I don't know. The basic question that came about because of this whole fiasco is one, the governor's powers.
Mm,
Is the governor allowed to interfere in inter-party matters? Now,
mm,
the matters being, as a legislative party, are you allowed to pick your own whip? And if you are, who is picking the whip? Is the party leader the one who is picking the whip, or is the MLAs collectively who are picking the whip? Right.
mhm,
So that was a question that was raised as well. And the second thing is, if you actually separate, like it happened, like a chunk of MLAs went away. Uh,
right.
do they become the Shiv Sena now? Is the
Right.
legislative party actually the Shiv Sena, or is the entire structure, which includes the party workers and everybody else, is that the Shiv Sena? So
Mm,
that question, I didn't see any answer, to be honest, anywhere. I was looking for it, but mostly the articles were just about this,
mhm.
which is what I explained. So yeah, that is still unclear. I'll have to dig a little more deeper to see. I'll talk to a few lawyers and I'll see if I can find an answer.
Okay. Before Meghnad gets to the second judgment, Anusha,
Yeah.
any thoughts on the bizarre nature of this judgment and what's happening in Maharashtra?
I
Is
said
it me?
it is not
Oh yeah.
new in India.
Yeah.
Honestly, bizarre judgments that you're actually not able to make out what is the judge. It was almost like the CJI played on everyone's side.
Right.
Yeah.
Is I will not it's a wonderful exercise in HR. I will not
Hmm.
leave anyone disappointed,
Yeah.
but I'm sure I don't claim to have any authority, but it also, the one thing that I actually thought that occurred to me was the kind of comments that came after the Babri Masjid verdict came out. The
Yes. Yeah.
act of demolition was wrong,
Hmm.
but there is nothing we can do
Yeah.
about
But
it.
Hmm.
now that you've broken it, might as well just
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
You might as
Precisely.
well build a Ram temple there.
Yeah.
Go
Yeah.
ahead. So there,
Hmm.
I don't think this is new to Indian legal system, or Indian judiciary, to come up with judgments that play on both sides,
Hmm.
that somewhat seem like it is going to be fair, and later you will question, was it fair to begin with
Hmm.
Right.
at all?
Hmm.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I suppose, like Meghnad said, a lot of legal expertise is required in
Yeah.
understanding what of the MLAs. But that's
Yeah.
the first thought that occurred to me. This is not the
Yeah.
Okay.
first time, and
Okay.
Babri Masjid verdict is what
Yeah.
occurred to
Yeah.
me.
And also, like, the whole thing about governor interference, I think that gets a little bit more clarity, where to what extent can the governor take a call on how much they can interfere, what they can do. They clearly can't appoint a whip.
Hmm.
That was illegal. So maybe, hopefully, in the future, if such a situation comes about, the governor will not do it, maybe, or the judgment that comes as a result of it will be faster, saying
Right.
that, oh, dekha Maharashtra mein kya hua tha, so 2 days later
Right.
they'll be like, same applies here. So
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
maybe that is the
Okay.
takeaway here.
Okay.
What I would also like to see is if the observations made during the judgment is going to be cited when eventually southern states who have a rift with their governors, like Telangana, like
Mm,
Tamil Nadu or
Yes.
mm,
Kerala, and now I expect rifts to begin in Karnataka as well between
Hmm.
the legislature and the
yes.
Of
governor.
course.
I would really like to see if all these observations are going to be cited eventually when
Hmm.
court, when because Telangana has gone to Supreme Court, did go to
Mm.
Supreme Court against its
Even
governor.
in Tamil Nadu, I think Stalin has been fighting with the governor
Precisely.
as well, right? Yeah.
In all, now that Andhra Pradesh is the only place where the chief minister does not have a beef with the governor, now I expect Karnataka to start
Yeah.
having an issue with the governor.
Yeah.
So I would like to see if this observation is going to uh,
Yeah.
Any
make
difference?
it to the citations.
Actually, we didn't mention this in the last segment, but now the only place where the BJP has some hold in South India is Pondicherry, which is a union territory where they are in a coalition. Apart from
Mm.
that, they've lost all states. But anyway, just thought I'll mention that. Back to you, Meghnad.
Yeah. So the second thing, second judgment, somewhat on similar lines, is about the lieutenant governor's powers in Delhi
Oh yeah,
and the
that's a
Delhi
whole
government
different
and
tussle.
the fight. That's again a different tussle, but somewhat similar, which is
Yeah, yeah,
essentially the governor and its powers on the elected government and what. यहाँ पे थोड़ा ज़्यादा complicated है because it's NCR and NCR is
right.
special,
Mm,
as we all know.
right.
It's a union territory which is not exactly a union territory, but also not a state, but also
Hmm.
both. Anyway, I'll tell you. So this fight began long time ago, in 2015, when a judgment came, which gave powers of services to the lieutenant governor. In the NCR region, the central government is allowed to control public order, which is police, land, and revenue, right? So they are able to control these three things, and the other stuff, which is health, education, whatever, is controlled by the elected government. The way the center controls this is through the LG. The LG is supposed to do it. So in
Right.
2015, the power of services was given to the LG, which means that the officers, which are able to implement all the things that the government also does, are supposed to be appointed by the LG, right? Largely.
Hmm.
Um, the Supreme Court judgment that came, it ruled that the Delhi government now has legislative and executive powers over services, except for public order, police, and land, as I pointed out. And the court also held that the LG is not the state government
Hmm.
within the meaning of the constitution, and therefore does not have the power to control services.
Hmm.
So the court's this judgment specifically is a victory for the Delhi government and Arvind Kejriwal, because now the interference of the LG will reduce significantly. But it's so bizarre that people are still saying, "Ha, but it will only happen if the LG obeys the court." I'm like, I, I, wait. So and literally, I've read like three opinion pieces on this now, where everybody is like, like the court is in favor of the Delhi government, but only if the LG listens to the court. How does that work exactly? Like, isn't that
Is
contempt
that
of
an
court?
option?
Is that an option? Exactly. Is that an option? If it's optional, then what was the point of this whole thing? Then so it's interesting. But let's see. Let's hope that now this tussle stops,
So the
because
Aam Aadmi Party has treated this as a victory, from what I
yes,
understand.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes,
Huh.
yes. Aam Aadmi Party has, because now the services are in their control. So they
Correct.
also started firing people, by the way, like immediately after the judgment. I
Oh,
think
okay.
they started like removing, replacing
Huh.
officers who were interfering with their work,
Hmm.
etc., etc.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
This whole there's this whole complaint that Arvind Kejriwal constantly does, right? कि हम file भेजते हैं, but
Exactly. Yeah.
sign नहीं होती
Hmm.
है, all the
Hmm.
things.
Hmm.
I don't know how that will be solved though, because technically still he has to do that.
Right.
Get the governor to sign on the bills and legislative things that have been passed by the assembly. But at the same time, at least the officers who are going to implement existing schemes, etc.,
Hmm.
they will be under the Delhi government's control.
Yeah.
So, victory for them,
Hmm.
for sure.
Okay.
MK Stalin might have the answer to your question, Meghnad. So what do you do?
Hmm.
Simple. He got his assembly to pass a resolution asking the union government to set a timeline within which governors have to sign on bills. Not only did
Ah,
he do that, he also appealed to other chief ministers to pass similar resolution. Nothing is going to come out of it. It's not going to
hmm,
change a thing.
Hmm.
But it's great optics to say if the governor is going to counter the legislature, then the legislature can also attempt to
hmm,
counter the governor.
hmm,
Apparently, there are takers for it in Kerala because Pinarayi Vijayan is also very keen on following suit.
hmm. Yeah, so all the
Okay.
states where the governor like interferes in political matters and tries to be an adanga in the system, they will sort of. So it's a signaling exercise. Ultimately, at the end of the resolutions are just resolutions. Like, we
Right.
resolve to do something,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
I mean, legislatively, it means nothing.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it's a great signaling exercise for everyone involved, as long as
Uh,
signals work.
it was a good week for Aam Aadmi Party. This, and then also Raghav Chadha got engaged to Pariniti Chopra. So yeah.
good, good week. That's
But they wouldn't say the same thing about Karnataka elections. They got much lesser in Nota.
Oh
oh
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like Aam Aadmi Party did terribly, no?
Less than Nota.
Less than
All of their
all of their
candidates lost
candidates.
their
Yeah,
deposits. Their
yeah.
vote share was just about less than 0.57%.
Ay ay
Hmm.
go,
So,
bichare.
so I wouldn't say everything is hunky dory for
Yeah,
happy for Raghav Chadha and Pariniti Chopra though.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
No, but I
Same, same.
love this when a party completely dominating in one part of India does dismally in another. I was like, okay, democracy is alive.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like, no
Okay.
appeal in Karnataka. I think that is exactly what happened in Goa with them also, where they went in like whole hall and then
Hmm.
mediocre results.
Yeah. All right, cool. We'll take another short break. When we come back, we'll do the final story of this week, which will come from me. If you're watching us on YouTube, please press the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this episode with someone who you think will enjoy it. We'll see you on the other side of this break.
Hi, this is Cyrus Rogan Brocha, pyar se Rogues. I've come up with a brand new idea. It's a premium product called Club Cyrus Says. It's an offer open just for you. Let me tell you about the product. We've got exclusive Cock and Bull episodes just for you. That's right, just for you. That means others don't get to see it. Also, you get exclusive footage, extra bits, the uncut version of the interviews with celebrities. And these are huge celebrities, not small-time celebrities. Only the big guys come on the show. So you'll get the exclusive bits that nobody else gets. The extra tidbits, special stuff, uncensored stuff you don't want to put out. That's just for you. And for our audio listeners, you get special ad-free content and early access to interviews and sessions and podcasts which nobody else will get. You'll get it first. You're the first people. You're Neil Armstrong. You're Edmund Hillary. You're whoever discovered India. You're that. And by becoming an exclusive member of Club Cyrus Says, you get the power. We transfer the power to you and you become the producers and you will decide what content or what happens on that show. You are the masters and we can't use words like that. People who work for the masters, basically. So guys, get in. special audio features include, I forget, I can't remember what the.
And we're back on page 10. Joining me are Meghnad and Anusha, who have done their stories respectively. So, this week I thought that we're discussing the Karnataka elections, we're discussing the Supreme Court judgments. So, I've taken something which is rather light and bizarre. Not the context of it, but the actual story. So, I don't know if you guys know this, guys, but our neighbors are in turmoil again.
Yes.
In the last week, Imran Khan was arrested. Some very sort of violent images of him getting arrested, and then it was followed up by people coming on streets and protesting pretty violently. But the story that I am picking is a rather bizarre story where the social media page, the official social media page of Imran Khan, used the song Hum Dekhenge, a version of the song Hum Dekhenge, which was penned by Faiz Ahmad Faiz. Now, this version happened to be the version that was recorded for the film The Kashmir Files, which came out last year, directed by Vivek Agnihotri. And Vivek Agnihotri noticed this, someone brought it to his notice. And within a few minutes, he tweeted out saying, the irony of Pakistan is that they are using what he called the power of Indic cinema, that he's using a piece of music from his film, The Kashmir Files, for showing how powerful Imran Khan is and how he will go through all the struggles that he is facing. Now, the irony, this whole story is irony upon irony about irony, because Hum Dekhenge, the poem, was written by a Pakistani poet, Faiz Ahmad Faiz, in
Yes.
1979, which was in support of Zulfikar Ali Bhutto because Ziaul Haq was after him. Now that poem became sort of a symbol of resistance across Southeast Asia, in areas that speak Hindi and Urdu. It was very much used in the anti-CA protests also. But it was used in an ironic manner in the film Kashmir Files to tell all these leftist Tukde Tukde gang uses this song because they want to harm India and cause them harm from inside. But now that version is being used by Pakistan and Imran Khan as a symbol of resistance, to which Vivek Agnihotri is saying, how dare you do this? Because this belongs to my film, which has extreme overtones of Islamophobia, but that be damned. So we bought this point from Faiz Ahmad Faiz estate. So it was like, this can only Indians and Pakistanis can do this. Like, you want to claim that, but also say no, this is harmful. But how dare you use it? So the Imran Khan Instagram page has actually taken down that video. They've replaced it with a Pakistani version of that song, Hum Dekhenge. So
Wow.
I just thought that this was worth pointing out. Of course, the situation in Pakistan is much more serious than that. I think they are also going through their turmoil, but I think that this kind of keeps happening in Pakistan every few years.
Yeah.
So, guys, thoughts on this, on the whole? By the way, Hum Dekhenge has its own controversy in India because there is a line in the poem which says "Sab tak tu uchhale jayenge, sirf naam rahega Allah ka." So there are right-wing groups which claim that it is anti-Hindu because it
Hmm.
essentially says only Allah's name will remain. And I'm like, dude, this was written by a Pakistani poet about Pakistan, about his own country. So he's going to go ahead and say the name of the god that they believe in. So yeah, and the writer was a communist, as my producer pointed out. He
Yeah.
was an atheist. But yeah, that was the bizarre chain of events that happened. Anything you want to add, guys, before we
I
wrap up?
lost track of how many ironies the story
Yeah.
has. I actually lost track. But when you did mention when you were talking about how only India and Pakistan can do it, which
Yeah.
quickly kind of reminded me of a line that my family in Chandigarh keeps saying: "Fight between India and Pakistan is like two brothers fighting. There's no issue. It's family dispute. You
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
common property, and you're fighting over common property. So the song, the poem, and the
Hmm.
song
Hmm.
based on the poem, I think is again another. I want
Yeah.
to call it intellectual property, but I will stick to property.
So yeah, he's
It's,
claimed copyright claim. Vivek Agnihotri claims that
Yeah.
this version of it, but this proves two things: that the PR person on Imran Khan's side just went with whatever the first option for that poem came. They must have googled hum dekhenge, and then that version, which also means that the SEO person on Vivek Agnihotri's side is smart, because they googled it, and the first option, the first the file that showed up was from the Kashmir files. And yeah, this is just shows that the
This is a
PR
product
people.
of digital India.
Yeah,
Yes.
no, but you also have to realize the latest version of this song, which is
Yeah.
meant for the latest audience that will watch this
Yeah.
song, is
Yeah.
from Kashmir Files, right? You know, it's like
That's true.
Vivek
Yeah.
Adriotri nahi banaya hai, but like it
Yeah.
sounds pleasanter than the older song. I mean, even
Yes.
if when I hear it, I like
Yeah.
this version.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Removing the context aside
Context.
of
Yes.
the movie and
Yeah.
the whole bullshit that it does, but
Yeah.
the song itself is nice. You know, the
Hmm.
song itself is very like melodic, it's nice, etc. Again, context doesn't matter. Also,
Yeah.
Vivek
Yeah.
Agnihotri ki wife bhi featured hai usme.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. Who's playing
so
the separatist leftist
yeah, yeah,
professor
yeah.
at JNU, or whatever they call the version
Pallavi
of
Joshi,
JNU? Yeah.
she's there. But
Yeah.
so wait, let me recap the ironies. As
Yes.
Anusha said, I am also like confused. Okay, so Faiz Ahmed Faiz writes poem to oppose something that is
Ziaul Haq.
happening in his country.
Hmm.
Yeah, matlab
Hmm.
like basically
Hmm.
oppose a dictatorial regime in his
Hmm.
country
Hmm.
and becomes a protest song, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Then
Hmm.
that song is picked up and used for protests in India
Yes.
because whatever, right?
Yeah.
Then Vivek Agnihotri is making a propaganda film to show that oh, this is the song that protesters use and these are these
Yes.
leftist types.
Yes.
He uses that song but makes it better
Yeah.
and more melodic and nice to listen to.
Yes. Yes.
Then uh, shit goes down in Pakistan, and
Yes.
Pakistan may they want a protest song. So they
Yes.
take this version which Vivek
Yes.
Agnihotri has created because it's nice sounding,
Yeah.
and they use it for protesting in Pakistan and promoting. I mean, like to
Yeah.
oppose their current dictatorial
Correct.
situation.
Yes.
Then Vivek Agnihotri gets upset. How dare you use this song? And
Yes.
files a copyright strike.
Yes.
And then they take it down from the
Yes. From their
Instagram page
page.
and
Hmm.
replace it with an old version of the same
Yes.
song
Yes.
because Pakistani poet Faiz Ahmed Faiz made that song. I was like,
Yes.
oh
It
my
is
god!
bizarre. I know.
Ah, my head hurts.
This,
I know.
yeah, it does. It's like the Chakravyuh
Yeah, yeah.
of Hum
Oh.
Dekhenge.
Yeah.
It's
Just quick word though. What do you think? How do you think the events in Pakistan will unfold? Do you see them coming out of this anytime soon?
Mm, so it's the same redux, right? Which is like the military coming up and saying, "Ki, Arey, we are
Yes.
the actually
So
real
yeah,
boss."
right now Imran Khan and the military general are at loggerheads. Imran Khan has been
Hmm,
making a video against him, I think, every single day,
hmm,
and it was kind of. I mean, I know it's a neighboring country and all of that, but whenever political leader is manhandled like that, right, and someone who won by a popular vote, it's scary to see that they pretty much dragged him out in the streets and
hmm,
arrested him.
hmm.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, right? With Pakistan, I mean, there is only one center of power. It's a whole
Right.
industrial complex which is the military, right?
Yeah.
And it's basically they are controlling their politics, they are controlling their intelligence, they are controlling law and order, and they are also taking extreme strategic decisions which are external affairs related as well, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the democratically elected government in Pakistan for ages now has
Mm-hmm.
always been more of a front, right? The reason why you can exist as a prime minister or anybody else who has any semblance of power in Pakistan is if
Mm-hmm.
the army backs you.
Correct.
So the moment the army stops backing you, you're screwed. You have to
Mm-hmm.
exit, or you get jailed, or you get
Mm-hmm.
shot.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what happened over the years. That's
Yeah.
exactly what seems to be happening even now. So
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the only way for Pakistan to get out of this is to diminish the power of the army somehow.
Right. Right.
But how will they do that? I am not
Yeah.
sure because
Yeah.
the army is everywhere. They give money to a lot of things and do a lot of things. Like they run entire companies and industries.
Yeah.
So it's like a corporation essentially,
Mm.
right? It's the biggest corporation in Pakistan. So
Right.
I don't know how they can democratically solve this. Or
But
is
in
it
this
even
episode,
possible?
I think the only silver lining was the Supreme Court actually coming out and saying that his arrest
Correct.
was
That the arrest
illegal.
was illegal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
He has to be released immediately. That's actually a breakaway from
But but as we
even if the
established in the
Supreme Court
last
has
story,
finally.
agreeing with the
I was
Supreme
about
Court
to
is an
say.
option.
I was about to say, like, if the LG listens to this, then maybe it is again. It might. It's worse there, right? I mean, the Supreme Court can say whatever, but the military will be like, "हाँ तो क्या? मेरे पास तो बंदूक है. तू क्या करेगा?" Like, it's like that's exactly it, right?
Right.
They have more power. They have more
Mm.
weapons. They are more aggressive. But
Right.
another silver lining, I would say, is that the protests this times are huge in
Right.
Pakistan in favor of Imran Khan. And the people who don't like Imran Khan are also saying that, listen, ठीक है हमारी internal fights है, but at the same time you are one of us, you're an elected leader,
Mm.
and we need
Mm.
to at this point of time
Mm.
fight the common enemy, which seems to be the military. So
Yeah.
that's also like a little nice to see, I guess.
Yeah. I think the takeaway from all of this, guys, is that people want change, whether it's the southern part of India or the northern part of Pakistan. People want
Absolutely.
change. All
Everyone
right.
wants it.
Yep. That brings us to the end of this week's show. Thank you so much for joining us, Anusha. Before we wrap up, anything you want to plug from your end, please go ahead.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking about Karnataka politics. After covering it for months and months and end, we have a whole list of special stories we did
Yeah.
for the Karnataka election, and we'll be moving forward to Telangana election later this year on South First. So do come to the site, do visit the site and read all our stories who have actually driven reporters across the state. So please give them some credit.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you can find me on Twitter at Anusha Ravi 10 and on
Hmm.
Facebook at Anusha Ravi Sood. Thank you.
When is the
Yep.
Telangana elections due, if I may ask?
In December this year.
December. Okay. Yeah, yeah. So
Cool.
Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Telangana, Rajasthan are what
Hmm.
is going to happen before. Okay, cool. Got it.
Yeah. The website mentioned, of course, is the southfirst.com. You'll find the link in the description. Meghnad, anything you want to plug before we wrap up?
Follow my handle at me Meghnad. As Anusha and me were talking about this before the episode started, sudden drying up of trolls is happening. I'm getting so
Right.
much validation for everything right now. Everybody's like, "अरे क्या बात बोली है?" I'm like, "ये क्या हो गया?" So this happens when BJP loses
Do,
election. So this is a good time to be on Twitter in case you are of
or do you think
similar.
it's Elon's steps are actually showing result where he
No,
said
no,
he
no,
wanted to
no, no,
cleanse?
please, please. No, no.
Abbas,
Abhi recently,
such a positive person.
yeah, yeah. Abhi recently, Elon Musk basically put out this tweet saying that so the Turkish government, वहाँ पे भी elections चल रहा है.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
Turkish government sent like a bunch of requests for content takedowns, and Twitter didn't even think about it. They just took it down. And
Hmm.
their reason was कि if we want to stay in Turkey as a platform, we'd have to take this down. So please,
Hmm.
Elon ने कुछ नहीं किया है. It's
Twitter
just
has a new CEO, by the way, Linda Yaccarino,
yes, they
who
do.
was announced a couple of days ago. Yeah.
They do. They do. Lots of stories happened. Yes, last week we picked these. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, Twitter handle, anything else you want to plug?
Follow the channel all about now and my personal channel Meghnad, Meghnerd. I'll be putting
Okay.
out a video this week on the
Cool. All right.
Karnataka elections. Hopefully.
All right. And you can follow me on Twitter at Abbas Momin and Abbas Momin88 on Instagram. I do another pop culture show on the channel IBM Pop called Has It Aged Well. You can check that out as well. With that, we've come to the end of this week's episode. Next week, we'll see you with a new bunch of stories and a new panelist. Till then, bye bye.
Bye bye.